Good afternoon, everyone. Well, yeah, my name is Wendy, and let me share my screen right here because, it's very important. And welcome you all to this Facebook Live. My heart is beating really, really fast right now, but let's do it. Right, okay, so let me start the presentation. And, okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Right, can you see
Yes.
like this point? Right, perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this presentation is titled Prior to the Pandemic and Challenges Assumed During Quarantine. So, yeah, my name is Wendy. I'm from Universidad Libre and I study foreign languages and I'm in the last semester. So, where did it all start? The pre pandemic experience. I had 15 students from the extension courses at Universidad Libre. Actually, I was teaching there for 3 years now. And they are awesome people. So you can take a look at this picture on the right side. They were presenting their final project last semester. In here on the left side, they are playing hot seat. I don't know if you guys know it. Oh my god, what did we do? So we did station rotation, which is a strategy within the flipped learning approach, as well as in class flip. And two more strategies: project-based learning and content language integrated learning, which is CLEO, and they are very helpful in within the flip learning approach, even though they are not like part of the theory. But here we have like the flip station, and here we had a station outside the classroom, and here we have an independent station. They are two students that they are really fast finishers, so they were playing a little bit with these cards. So then guys, that we got pandemic times, and what happened next? Quarantine. And I was like, all right, well, I was doing my applications for my research project, and I needed to finish them. And then everybody went home, and I was like, and if I need to do station rotation, what am I going to do next if we're at home? Like I needed to be with them in person. That's what I taught. So I started to look for a lot of resources, tools, a lot of things. I asked a lot of people and I didn't find a solution. But then I found something that you have in technology, which is Zoom, Teams, Meets, a lot of tools. But this is what I had. This is what I had: a general meeting, like a general session with all of them on the screen. But what I needed was stations. I needed to have stations for them to work in the group learning space, because in flip learning, we have two learning spaces. We have individual learning space and we have group learning space. And I don't know if you guys know the definition about flip learning. If you do, please write it on the chat. If you don't, I'm going to give it to you right now because I have it here. I'm gonna read it to you, right? For you to keep that in mind and then think, all right, yeah, she was really in trouble because she needed that space. So flipped learning is a pedagogical approach in which direct instruction moves from the group learning space, which is a classroom, to the individual learning space, like home, the bus, the work, everywhere. And the resulting group pace is transferred into a dynamic interactive learning environment where the educator guides students as they apply concepts and engage creatively. So it means taking theory home and take task or homework to the classroom, and it is very dynamic and they love it. So I was working with it 1 year, and then pandemic, right? So I needed my stations, and if you hear the dog barking, it's the neighbor's dog. um so I found something really interesting on Zoom. So we have the breakout rooms on Zoom. So you can have what I did was, okay, so I need 4 stations. So what am I going to do? I'm going to have 4 breakout rooms, and I'm going to name each one of them with the names of the stations, like flip station, grammar station, listen station, like, practice stations. You can name that like the way you want. So here you have like assign the amount of participants you have. In my case, I had 16, 15, and you can assign them either automatically or manually to the amount of rooms you want. So in this case, I had 4 rooms because I wanted to have 4 stations, and they were like 3 or 4 participants per rooms. Then I created the rooms, and on their screen it appeared join breakout rooms, like this thing, and they started with the station I wanted them to start, but they couldn't rotate. They couldn't rotate. I could do it, but it would take a lot of time, like to take this person from here to there. So what I did was rotate the material. And the results I'm gonna share with you, like what I found to share the material with students beforehand. So here we have some options. You can move all the participants into breakout rooms automatically or manually, as I said before. You can allow participants to return to the main session at any time to ask you something and then return to the breakout rooms. You can count, you have a countdown after closing breakout rooms. You can set it like 10 seconds. So it was very funny because I gave them 60 seconds. So they were doing the activity and they had 60 seconds left. So they were like, oh my god, hurry up, because the teacher is gonna ask us about this like activity, and we didn't finish. So they were really in a rush, because they had only 60 seconds to finish it all. And it helped them a lot to manage their time. All right, and you can, as I said, name the rooms and assign people to the rooms. All right. So also, I used my YouTube channel. You can look for me in YouTube, my YouTube channel, and there they could access that material in the individual learning space. They could go their own pace, like if they wanted to rewind, to move forward, whatever, they could do it. And I also used it for the flip station. So the flip station was a breakout room with just myself sharing my screen from my other computer with the video. So they could get there, take control of the screen, and play it. And of course, we did an agreement because I loved seeing them. So cameras on everybody. So they were really motivated by that, to see each other, because they are adults and they're kind of different than teenagers or young people. So some tools, I also use Padlet because we had this first moment and like the general session. So we did brainstorming, we did Flipgrid, a lot of things that you can do, Mentimeter, Survey Monkey, a lot of things. And that was like the entry ticket, like what did you learn from the individual learning space material? And second, we have Pixon on the right side. Pixon is a tool to do cartoons, so they could do like their own story. And basically it was an exit ticket, like an activity to ensure that they actually paid attention or read the material or worked in the 4 stations that we had previously. So 2 of them, I also use a lot of them, like a lot of more other tools, but 2 of them are these ones. Right. So the results, finally, I found out that we need to follow some steps. It is not like a very mandatory thing to follow. It is something that I found and that may help you sometimes. So first of all, I needed to assign a leader, a person that could lead the whole group. I mean the small group. And that leader was sent an email with all the material I wanted them to practice during the session. And first we had the general session in Teams, because at the university we were required to work in Microsoft Teams to record the sessions and have like everything recorded. But I needed Zoom to do the breakout room sessions. So they went from Teams to Zoom. Of course, we need to have a lot of practice before, like, okay guys, so now go to Zoom, because we needed this practice before in order for the live session to be smooth, right? And each activity lasted 10 minutes, and I know that it is like a little bit of time, but I created each activity, I designed it like for it to be really smooth and really fast. So if they could take more time, it wouldn't take more than 10 minutes, right? So time management is a very important thing here in planning lessons before is very essential for this type of activities. So leaders could share the screens, so they had all the material ready, like in every like a tab. Each tab had one of the material, and of course I had to do training with each one of them before this thing started. And of course there's something that I really love. Students could call me while they were working in the breakout rooms, so I could join those rooms and help them answering questions. Teacher, I don't know what is going on here. Could you help me understand this fraction? And of course, I was there. They could call me. There is a button there on Zoom which says call the host for help. So I could answer. Sometimes I got like 4 calls on at the same time, but it was cool because the flipped learning approach like advises teachers to be hovering on the classroom, like over and over again, and you have to be there. It's not only play a video, right guys, then you have the guide and you have the worksheet, and I stay here to see videos about cats. No, it is not like that. You have to be with them all the time. And I actually like walked 4 kilometers or more each class because I was walking here and walking there and then going there and coming here. But it was great because it made me lose some weight, and it made me know that they were learning because they were making questions, asking me a lot of things. So I could also join, even though they didn't call me, I could join their conversation, their room, and they are adults, so they don't have like that problem as I had with the French group, because I also had a French group. They were teenagers, so they were speaking in Spanish, and I was okay. Or they were doing another thing or sharing another video or something, so I was really there all the time, like seeing what they were doing. All right, some reflections. Number one, students become more autonomous and conscious about the learning process and about time management. And number two, they are more motivated when working as a team because they, as adults, they don't want to be alone. Some of them, they want to be together with the friends because they were together for 2 years. So after pandemic times, it was very hard. So I don't know if you guys have like questions. I have 3 more minutes, but I'm going to let you think about the questions you want to ask me, like something you want to know about this experience. And while I do that, I have 3 examples. So I worked also with Google Classroom to upload all the information. So I had in all the units material for the individual learning space activity, and a task or a place where they could upload the product they did in the group learning space. So our first outcome was short presentations. And why? Because in my research project, I am working with fluency, but I don't want them to start with monologues, conversations, something like that. I want them to start with short presentations, to be fluent in short presentations. So every activity, the product was a short presentation with a different matter, different details, but it was a short presentation. And last but not least, we had the most important activity during this course, which was the collaborative group activity. So we had the material in there, and we needed some roles, some people to participate as facilitator, motivating people, the presenter, the reporter, and the observer. It is important to highlight that all of them were presenters, but they took turns to change roles. All of that was recorded by the leader. The leader at that moment had to record and send that video to my email. And we needed to upload each one of them needed to upload the formats if they were observers or reporters, recordings if they were the leader, and assessment because it is very important. They had to assess each other's performance. I assessed them by watching the video, but also they assessed them like between themselves. And the visual aids that were very important because in the collaborative group activity, you have to have a visual aid that could be a mind map, a concept map, or an infographic. We did an infographic, and they were really good products. So thank you. Here is my information. You can write and give me like a high five or send me an email. This is my email, and you can also explore my webpage The domain coming soon, but right now I have all the material there they could access. It was like the main thing that they used, the web page I created for them. And yeah, you can also access that for free and all the material I uploaded and all my videos. So that is it. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Or what do you suggest, teacher? Or
Okay, so it's question time. Thank you, Wendy. Great talk. Very interesting, as usual. I'm going to read a couple of questions that we have here in the chat. Well, one of the persons wants to know what was the biggest challenge you had with the implementation of flipped learning, especially with adults?
great question. Actually, yeah, it was technology management, flip mastering, and also mastering technology, because I had to do a lot of training before starting with these sessions. Even in person, I had to go step by step and repeat those steps, and and make a video, send them the video, the tutoring, everything. So it is beautiful because you build your own material, but it is challenging because they actually didn't have any contact with technology before knowing me. So it was kind of funny but beautiful. And they ended loving technology. They finally loved it, and they knew that technology was something really important for their lives and really important to know. So the big challenge was technology mastery. I had to train them in everything, and then they can use it easily.
All right. Here we have another question. How did you manage having three technological tools with your students? Zoom, Teams, and Google Classroom. Was it too difficult?
At first, it was difficult, but it all depends on instructions. So what I did was designing three different guidelines. So three guides for them to how to join Classroom, how to join Teams, how to join Zoom, right? So what I did was, okay, guys. So remember, first Teams, second Zoom, third Classroom. So they just knew it. First Team, second, third. And if they forget something, I was there. But they knew, okay, material is in Classroom, first session, general one is in Teams. And if one of my students is there, so please write, I agree, that's true. And breakout rooms, station rotation in Zoom. So it's all about instructions, like having them know and memorize each one of them, for like what is it for.
Okay, here we have another interesting question. How is being autonomous during the lockdown when we as learners are not interested in learning the language?
Sorry, could you please repeat that question? I couldn't hear. My line was breaking.
Yep, let me check again. How is being autonomous during the lockdown when we as learners are not interested in learning the language?
Well, it's hard because it depends on your motivation right now. Because if you're motivated, you're going to open your computer and log in or do the homework. But that's something difficult. I, as a learner, can say that it all depends on what you think your future is gonna be. Like, I'm motivated because I want to move forward. It is not about the teacher. It is not about the university. It is not. It is about me. Like, if I want to be autonomous, it's because I want to. It's not because they are telling me to be. You know, and that's learning culture. One of the pillars of flip learning. So, if you have that culture that no, they are not telling me to open this homework, but I'm gonna do it because it's a commitment with myself. But if you're a teacher and you want to motivate students, you have to be really creative. Like, you have to, um, you know, have different sessions. Not only share my screen and read the slides. No, I even created like a virtual zoo and Zoom. So that was really interesting. So if you're a teacher and if you want to motivate autonomous work in your students, you have to first do striking things. Like, you have to first be really creative and attract them the way they can't be out of it. They after. your class can be attached to your topic and attached to the class, even if they are not live with you on Zoom. Like it all depends. If you're learning on you, but if you're a teacher, on your skills to motivate students.
Yeah, I think we have just like 1 minute more. Somebody's asking, maybe like thinking about you as a student, and says, what is your favorite method for learning?
I love flip learning. I can say that in class flip. Um, Flip learning is an approach, but I really love it because you can go your own pace. You can watch the video, explore the hyperdog, the web page, whatever your teacher sent to you, and your own pace. Like if you didn't understand something, you go ahead and check for it, and you like empty a lot of things in the classroom, and then you go to the classroom. And it happened to me with Professor Palencia when I was her her student, that she sent all the information. We checked it outside of the classroom, and we came to the classroom to explore many other things that we would have lost if we had the explanation in the classroom. So I really love flip learning, and I really invite you to explore it more, and like in the web page, and also a lot of other professors that have research about this topic.
Okay, last question. Based on your experience, what suggestion would you give to pre-service and in-service teachers who are right now facing the same challenges as you are, like teaching remotely due to the situation we are living worldwide?
My suggestion is be curious about everything all the time. Explore things like, oh, I found this, what about if I go deeper? I go deep and find out about other things. Like I started with Canva, which is the tool I use for this presentation, and then, oh, what about if I could, and that if I could, what about, and what if, those two questions are going to lead you to face challenges creatively. So my only suggestion is be curious about everything, about your tools, about your material that you have, the read everything. So please don't just stay with what you have, go deeper. That is my suggestion.
Okay, Wendy, thank you very much. Your presentation and your answers were really great. Professor Onatra,